Testing 1, 2, 3. It looks like our audio is on this time, perhaps. So we're going to go ahead and replay our little beautiful flower here in the picture, our Joyful Joints class from today, because the last run through we didn't have any sound. So we're going to do this one more time. And I'd like to welcome you all here. We have a little different technical setup, which is causing a little bit of challenge. So welcome, welcome. This is about the heart. We're going to go through a little bit quicker this round, and we are strengthening our heart, following what happens when our bodies do get weak enough to succumb to viruses and actually get sick. That's a thing. And as we're making our way back out of those illnesses, we want to take our time. We want to do it the right way. We want to maybe even take time to say, well, what went wrong? Where did I get depleted so much? What could I bring forward learning out of this illness in order to actually make me stronger in the future, or to have better immunity against these viruses that are out there? So welcome, welcome. We're going to begin with an assessment of blowing, just getting our lungs. Let's see what it feels like. This body just spent several hours, actually almost 3 full days, not moving at all. So all of the joints that my ribs have in connection with my sternum, in connection with my spine, every single one of those connecting points is a joint, right? It's where a bone meets a bone and they can articulate with one another. So when joints get jammed or stuck, or they're not moving as much, they don't send a signal to the brain, okay? This is the arthrokinetic reflex. When a joint is moving, there are receptors in that joint that send signals to the brain. The brain's like, wow, I know where you guys are. I'm going to send back some signaling that helps the muscles make that joint move and work properly. So that's what's going on here. A lot of Joyful Joints is simply that. What's not moving? Can we encourage it to move better? Now my brain and body are talking better. Now I feel more at ease. That's the basics of all that we're doing. So when we're talking about this area that encompasses our heart as we work in Love Month, and we're talking about this rib cage. Remember last time we said this idea of it being a cage and something immobile actually works against us. So if we think of our rib cage as flexible and having all these joints and getting all those joints to continue moving, then we get a whole lot more power and efficiency out of our heart. So that's kind of exciting. Let's begin with blowing out those candles. Take an inhale breath and then blow. And again, inhale. And now blow. One more time. Inhale. And very good. So just simply the act of breathing strongly with a strong inhale and a strong exhale can start to loosen up those joints. Sometimes we don't like doing that when we're not feeling well because, gosh, our lungs might feel really tight. And when we go to expand them, we might go into a coughing fit. And in that coughing fit, it's actually possible to take some of those joints and to knock them out of place. It's what's called subluxation. So we have this ongoing challenge when we're not feeling well to remember to breathe, to continue to challenge the bigness or the strength of our breath, because sometimes that's all we have available in those moments, right? So next up, we're going to see about holding our chest still and getting our head to move. So let's start by stabilizing our torso and letting our head move from side to side. Let your head turn from side to side. Very good. So I'm trying to leave my shoulders still, leave them relaxed. And that's helping me to create a strength within my chest, which we need in order to have motion, right? We can't just have motion or stability. We have to have both. Now, as you're turning your head, turn your eyes in the direction and see if your head will go a little further. And then the other way. Reach with your eyes, let it go a little further. And we go back and forth from one side to the other. And while I'm doing that, I'm noticing that it's giving me some stretch through my neck. I feel the upper part of my chest kind of holding itself still. That's a good sign. And there we go. All right, next, let's actually move our rib cage. So I want you to just kind of soften in your knees so we're not standing on stiff legs. Soften in the knees, and of course you could also be doing this seated. I'm just doing the exercises standing today for my own body's benefit because it wants to regain some of its strength. It's building up its endurance and strength again. So let's put a hand on our navel. From the navel down, the pelvic area, the legs are going to hold still, not move at all. And then the other hand, we're going to place right in the center of our chest, right over our heart. And that's the part we do want to move. So as we rotate our rib cage in one direction, and then we rotate the other direction, what you notice is that the top hand should be moving along with us. The bottom hand is going nowhere. And that's what we're looking for. Remember last time our rib cage was like a tin can, and we're turning it over the top of our lower tin can, or our pelvis, which is not moving. And this requires a lot of coordinated effort between a lot of different joints of our spine, our thoracic spine, and then all of our ribs connecting to that spine. So it's a very complicated motion that all we can do is just slow down and try to keep the discipline. If you keep the discipline of don't move the bottom part, do move the top part, then you're on your way to really getting a nice rotation in there for yourself. Next, we'll do another one. Actually, let's do move our hips round and round. So again, I'm going to keep the upper part of my body real still and just let my legs kind of swirl around. Very good. And then let's swirl in the other direction. So this is kind of helping us to bring up some nice energy from the earth. And that's going to help our body to be even stronger. It will help our heart to be stronger. Next, let's do some little semi-squats. Good. So hello to anybody out there live with us. This is round 2 today. Our first attempt at having class, we kind of didn't get the sound going. So we're hoping it's better this time. Excellent. Little pumping. So we want enough energy to feed the heart, right? We want enough nice, warm, strong energy to feed the heart. And then we also want to get our heart so it can pump appropriately. All right, next, let's move our spine. Let's not do that. Let's hold our chest stable again and start to move our arms. So the heart is actually where our arms are rooted. It's where the energy begins. It's like the engine for our arms. So if our heart is not so efficient, it's going to be challenging to get the energy all the way out and have our arms work properly. So in that case, if we don't have the energy coming out of our heart properly, it affects our shoulders, our elbows, our wrists, the strength of our hands. So let's see if we can hold our chest nice and solid and then begin moving our arms. There you go. Moving our arms in big circles, whatever circle works for you. Now, what I see is a lot of movement of the chest to try to make the arms go around. That's not it. Hold still and then see if your arms can go without affecting your rib cage. So again, this is the strengthening, the stabilizing component of our chest. As the arms realize they're doing it properly, then you can go faster and challenge your chest to stay still while the arms go faster. Okay? So that's a really, really great core exercise, actually. Now, what about the other direction? Taking the arms around forward. I'm holding my chest really still and quiet. Good. And then I begin to speed up my arms and I see if I can not throw my chest around all over the place, but hold still. And that makes my arms very, very, very tired because they're just not used to doing that motion correctly. And they feel really heavy to pick them up. Yeah? Something we can practice. Next, bring your hands and your fists, and I want you to squeeze everything up and in. Squeeze your shoulders up and in, and then I want you to just drop. We're dropping our shoulders, our arms, our hands. We are not collapsing our chest down. That's a whole different ballgame. Keep your spine tall, keep your chest solid. Let your shoulders and arms lift up and then just relax and drop down with gravity. So this is, again, strengthening through our rib cage so we can release tension down the arms. How many of you out there love to say, my neck and my shoulders are always hurting? This is one of the reasons, because our rib cage is meant to hold up your head and your neck, and our arms are meant to move independently and freely. Yeah, that will release a lot of that tension when we build up strength in our chest. Next, hold your hands up. We're going to do a little energy experiment. I want you to think about your heart is the fire hydrant. It's the source of our energy that's coming into our arms. And our arm is like a fire hose. Okay, so we're going to tap in to the fire hydrant with the back of our arm. Right? Remember we said our arms are rooted at the heart. This is, yeah, it's not very specific, but it's a great thing to think about to help us move properly. So connect and feel like you're turning the water on, but your hands are closed. So the nozzles of our fire hose are closed. And what happens then? The pressure builds up through the hose from your heart and into your hands, and you might feel it. Yeah. And then what we're going to do, open the nozzle. And you might even feel that that loving energy that came from the heart down our fire hose is now pouring out of our hands. And guess what? We could aim that at something, or we could just let it go to nothing. How about we aim it? Let's aim that loving energy at our friends, our family, somebody who needs a big extra dose of love this month. And then close your hands. So let's build that pressure back up. Be aware of your heart and feel the energy flowing down your arms. And then open the nozzle. Can you feel it flowing out? Yeah, it's kind of cool. One more time. Close. Feel it build up. And open that nozzle. Good. So that's one way that we can keep, let's go ahead and circle our hands. We can keep our hands very strong. And that is an article that I read many, many years ago about when our hands get weak, it's a signal that our body is kind of going downhill. Really what it means, it's a signal that our heart is pumping inefficiently and ineffectively. There's not enough either energy in the heart to begin with, or it's not pushing it out. It's not pumping strongly enough to get the energy from here all the way out to my hands. So then my hands, that's the first thing to weaken, right? So they start to, our fingers start to do less, our hands starts to do less, and then our arm starts to do less. So let's utilize Joyful JOYnts as a way to keep ourselves strong, keep the energy flowing all the way out to our extremities and to our fingertips. All right, good job, everybody. Okay, so the next thing, it's time to reassess our breath. Go ahead, breathe in and blow out. And again, breathe in. Blow out. Is it any easier? Is it easier to get a bigger breath in? Does your blowing out air, is it stronger? Does it last longer? What was your reassessment? So mine is still continuing to get better, even as we do round 2 of Joyful JOYnts today. I love that. So next, let's start to integrate more motion of the rib cage now. as we build up our, well, once we get something moving in isolation, what we want to understand is that our joints don't work in isolation normally. Movement and human movement is very complicated, and it requires